the second and final lesson on our Pong game. And if we just remind ourselves of the last lesson, we created the game so that the ball does bounce off the paddles, but what it doesn't do is doesn't reposition itself. So the game works to a fashion, but that it's not ideal in that as soon as you miss the ball, it will bounce off the paddle, but it won't. Whether it comes back on the screen is a totally random process. So we need to. There's a few things that we'll need to fix. So first thing we'll need to do is there's an option within Multimedia Fusion to fix the security of the ball. So it is quite possible that the ball, you could hit the ball at such an angle where it'll bounce up and down consistently. So if the computer detects the same movement a number of times, it'll change the direction itself. It'll step in and correct it. So we'll change the security up to 70. So that means that it increases the likelihood of the computer stepping in to fix things for us. But what we don't have is any scoring in our game. So when player 1 hits the ball and player 2 misses it, if the ball goes off on the right of the screen, player 1 should get a score should go up. And if the ball comes off player 2's bat and player 1 misses it, so anything off the left is player 2's score. So player 1 scores where the ball goes off the right. So we need to put a new rule in on the ball. So ball position, test position of the ball, and we'll say right. That's all we have to do. So we've now got when the ball leaves the play area on the right, and player 1, so score, add the score, and we'll give them a point. So that's okay. So now when the ball leaves on the right, player 1 will score. So we'll have a quick go at that. Okay, I missed it. So let's try one more time. So now player 1 scored, but player 2 seems to be scoring as well. So this is a problem for us. So we need to fix that. So why would that be happening? So we go to Control and M, and if you remember, we've got player 1 for paddle 1, player 2 there. And then if I click the score, I've got in the settings player 1, and if I click here, it's still on player 1. So I need to change that to player 2. Because it's a two-player game, you've got to remember that when you put in anything like lives or scores, you need to change it to the respective player. So now we've got our game, it's in a pretty good state. If the ball leaves on the right, he scores, but we also need to put a new condition in to say if the ball leaves on the left, so position, test position on the left. If the ball leaves on the left, add 1 to the score. So I'll drag that over, and we've now got add 1 to the score for this one as well. So now we're in the position where if we test the game now, we should see a bit of scoring going on. If I miss, player 1 has scored. So, and it now works, the ball's appeared for us quite nicely that time. And now player 2 has scored as well. So the game's working, but the only problem is when you miss, the ball isn't randomly reappearing. So how do we fix that? Well, we just need to go to the ball and we say when the ball leaves the screen, select the position. It will say there, and that'll do. So we've done that, but we also need to drag that rule up there. So now when we play the game, what happens when the ball leaves? You'll see it comes back. So he leaves on the right and he comes back this way, and if he leaves on the left, he comes back that way. So we've now got our game working quite nicely where player 1 is scoring, and this is an example of where the computer has seen the ball was bouncing up and down repeatedly, so it stepped in and fixed it. So that was a good example there. So our game's now working, One thing perhaps we've allowed is for our paddle to leave the screen. We could fix that if you wanted to, and that would be an easy one to fix, because all you need to do is do a test position, and if it leaves the screen, so we would put a new one in, paddle position, test position of the bat, and we'd say click, if it goes up or down, click OK, and what we want the paddle to do, we want it to stop. So if we play the game now, the paddle goes off on that one, but on this one it stops. So I've stopped the paddle from moving off the screen. My computer is a bit slow because I'm using a virtual machine and I'm recording, but I don't really want the paddle to stop there, so I'm gonna delete that rule, and we could put another rule in. Something that perhaps would be useful for our game is to put a background in. So I'm going to insert an object, I'm going to put a picture in, and I'll need to find a picture that I've got. So I'm just going to pinch a picture from an earlier game we made. So I'll have that screen background. And once I put that picture in, I'll need to resize it, and then perhaps we'll add an effect to it. I'm going to have to wait for my computer to catch up. So there's the image, but if we go to image size, we need to change it. We know our screen is 640 by 480. So now that's resized, and I can put that there. So I've locked that in. I can use the arrow key to move it over to make it fit a bit better. Okay, so that's fitted in. One thing that we haven't looked at is effects. We can click transparent, and if we click edit and we go to standard, we can do semi-transparent. Now that hasn't changed anything, but we need to click this blend coefficient, and if you change it up to 75, when I click off the screen now, you should see this become a bit more transparent. So it's less of an effect. That's just one effect you can do. So we've now got a game that doesn't look too bad. Everything seems to work, and you could be playing the game for quite a while. So something that might be worth doing, which is straightforward enough, is after perhaps a minute of playing the game, make the ball move faster. So how could we do that? Well, that's a really easy rule to do. I'm just going to delete this one out. Okay, so I'm going to do insert a rule here, and we'll pick the timer. So every, let's say 1 minute, and we'll change the seconds then. So every 1 minute. So we've now got a rule that says every 1 minute, let's have a look, every 1 minute we want something to happen to the ball. So we'd have movement, and we'd have set speed. And at the moment the ball is set to 50, so I could change it to 60. So now, after playing the game for a minute, the ball's going to get faster. And so every 1 minute it'll go up to 60, and then you could just make another rule in. If you wanted to, you could do a new rule, so that'll be timer every, and you could say 2 minutes, put the speed up again. So every 2 minutes, okay, well, every 2, put a 0 in there. What do I want to do? I could say movement, set speed, and I could say put it up to 70. So there's a number of things you can do to make the game a lot better. And then there's other things which I could show you, is the keyboard. If you remember, keyboard, upon pressing key, if I press Q, upon pressing Q, and then we drop down, and you could say end the application. So now I can start to play the game. In a minute it'll go faster, and in 2 minutes it'll go a bit faster again, and then what would finally happen is if you press the Q key, the game would end. So I press Q. My computer's gone a bit crazy because it was slow, but it'll sort itself out. If I press Q now, the game will end. So we've got ourselves a game, we've got ourselves a few conditions in there, and you know, you could do, there's loads you could do. You could say after 1 minute end the game and put a high score up, but again, those are all kind of things that's up to you. So have a go making this game, and hopefully I'll make a few more, and we'll do a few different